Join Johannes, a necromancer of some little infamy, and his charismatic brother Horst in the many adventures of the Cabal brothers on the Necromancer's Deathcast. From circuses to dreamlands in turn-of-the-century Never England, author Jonathan L. Howard brings his dry wit and exceptionally clever writing to this series of the most intense and tumultuous proportions. Rise up, all ye undead, and rejoice in the wonder that is the Necromancer's Deathcast.
Welcome to the Necromancer's Deathcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 2.2, The Maw Awaits, where we are discussing the second half of the short story, Exeunt Demon King. My name is Tanzan, and I'm joined by Amber.
Hey there.
And Jess.
Hello.
Johannes Cabal, a necromancer of some little infamy, has faced many horrors during his career. But in this tale, he tells of an early encounter with something that horrified even him. Pantomime. A provincial theater has seen a series of strange deaths. The young Cabal investigates, even though this requires him to don red tights, a curling moustache, and become the Demon King. We find out that the Demon King has a large break from his first scene to his next scene. More than, I love this part, more than long enough to run around the pub next door and wash away the old hopes for a serious acting career before making a slightly unsteady entrance to the grand finale.
Okay, I did laugh out loud on that one. Wash away the old hopes for a serious acting career. Like, once again, we see that sort of dark outlook from Cabal.
Snarky little bitch.
Totally. It's the irony of a wasted career, right?
Children's theater.
Totally.
I have to don red tights and a mustache.
That almost feels like I used to have a drama teacher who talked about dinner theater. And she said it with the same sort of, and maybe that's why I laughed at the description of pantomime, because it was almost the same level of disdain and disgust for the very thought of having to act in such a thing.
Community theater.
The horror!
Aww.
And so we get into a description of the origins and the workings of the Star Trap and the money that was spent by Maleficarus on the Maw of the Clathic. So, which is described with the body of a bull, face of a bull weevil. Is that it?
Bull weevil.
And a hide that can only be described as rugose. I had to look up what rugose meant. It means wrinkled or corrugated in a medical context.
What context does that word come up in?
Well, it's a medical term, which I think sort of speaks volumes again to the background, Cabal's background, being medical and scientific. But I had a hard time. I didn't dive too deep because I wasn't sure I wanted to know what a corrugated physical property would be.
Yeah. It doesn't sound pleasant either way.
Much like cellulite, perhaps? I have no idea.
But okay.
Yeah.
So starts looking at the inner workings of this essentially trap door to the stage that is spring loaded to make its person be shot through the floor, essentially, for a grand entrance. Outfitted, designed, and put together. He hired other people to build it, but it was all of his own Maleficence, whatever his real name is, a design.
Right, yeah. And he does take apart the brass hoop. This is something that I'm going to ask a question about later. So, he takes apart the wooden hoop that the entrance portion is. So he takes that part off, and he finds wedged in between two of these wooden hoops a brass ring, a lang, an unearthly metal. The The metal hoop constituted something called the Maw of Clathic, as you said before.
Mm-hmm.
And it eats spiritual energy, activating every 2,300 days. So just remember that he takes that metal ring out because he is looking for the etchings on it. So because he takes it back to his because he uses an eye pencil and some grease paint to make paper etchings of the
runes.
Oh, yeah.
So remember this, because I'm going to come back to it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. But going on.
Plot problems.
Yeah.
Oh, I see where we might be going with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does he take it out, or does he just bring his eye pencil to it?
Yeah, that was...
Because I thought he just brought his eye pencil to it. Because he makes this comment, and he's like, I go and fetch my eye pencil. Shut up. It's part of the necessary equipment.
Oh.
So I thought he went to retrieve it.
See, and I took it as he popped it out.
Popped it out.
After looking at this construction, Cabal concludes that vanity and insanity claimed Maleficarus. That he, was really started out as a stage performer and then got the lust for power through actual magic.
Right. I like the description of how he starts off as when he talks about the development of a magician, and how it goes from just light conjuring tricks to wanting more and more. And I think the comment was he pulled too many rabbits out of too many hats.
Well, there comes a time when that devil on your shoulder just starts, those whispers get a little louder and a little louder and a little louder. And eventually, when is enough?
Card trick is just not where we're at anymore.
Well, and especially when you're becoming to build up this fame and stuff like that, and you always have to top yourself.
Right.
It becomes an issue. Mm-hmm. But I will say, Tanzan, that he retrieves the paper and brings it up against it. He doesn't remove it. Sorry.
Oh, he does.
It was seconds work with a screwdriver, allowed me to remove the inner wooden hoop and expose the metal band. It appeared to be brass, but I had my suspicions. It was rarer. I could not find any weld or joining mark, but there were imperfections. I went back to my dressing room and got some paper. I laid the paper on the inside of the hoop and gently shaded it with an eye pencil.
Right, so he removed the wooden part in order to access the metal, not removing the metal itself.
Sorry.
Okay.
I can see where the confusion is, though. It's not 100%
And that's going to make my future point moot. How does the maw open if the brass hoop was removed?
Spoiler alert! No, just kidding.
So Cabal, going back to Maleficarus, about insanity claiming him, says, show me a stage magician who values the writings of Dee over Houdin, the works of Simon Magus over John Mescaline, and I show you a disaster in the making. So I had to do the research.
I'm like, I didn't know any of those names, so don't even remotely look at me on this one.
Doesn't he mean Houdini? No. He
Tell
makes
us.
Houdin.
Tell us.
So we'll start with John Dee. He is an occultist. He was the court astronomer for Elizabeth I and spent much of his time on alchemy, divination, and hermetic philosophy. Simon Magus, who is was in a religious figure whose confrontation with Peter is recorded in Acts 8, 9-24. He's the act of simony, or paying for position, is named after Simon, who tried to buy his way into the power of the apostles.
And see those biblical references. I kind of knew those ones, but
so those are the occultists versus Jean-Eugène Robert Houdin, was a French watchmaker, magician, and illusionist, widely recognized as the father of the modern style of conjuring. He transformed magic from pastimes for the lower classes, seen at fairs, to an entertainment for the wealthy, which he offered in a theater opened in Paris, a legacy preserved by the tradition of modern magicians to perform in tales. So all modern magicians perform in tales because of him, elevating the art form. And Mescaline was an English stage musician and inventor of the pay toilet.
Oh.
Oh, fuck that guy.
Along with other Victorian devices, which works very well with the genre, the Victorian era, the earlier type stuff that
I was going to say, Cabal's definitely
JLH.
a classics guy, eh?
Totally. And this is like not your everyday example. Like, who's researching Elizabeth's astronomer? Like, for this man to be so, oh yeah, this reminds me of this guy. Like,
Totally. Was there any connection between like Houdin and Houdini? Did you see any of that?
I
Or was
did not
that just,
see, like, and I don't know if
happens to
Houdini maybe was influenced by Houdin.
or if Houdini was actually
I mean,
a stage
Houdini
name?
was a stage name.
Yeah, so that could
So
be
potentially.
interesting.
Interesting.
Well, for a little more information, I did also make a post on necromancers.ca. So if you want to learn a little bit more about these characters that JLH is including in these stories, there is more information to be read.
Makes me curious about what JLH's process is for discovering these people too that he references.
He seems very well read to me.
Yeah.
Quite educated.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the fact that putting this in a theater space, he talks about sort of having that stage mechanism be the, I guess, crucible, so to speak, where the souls are gathered, right? So, and for me, I really like the connection between the empathic resonance between the audience and the stage, right? And so that actually creates, he says, having a poor, hapless theater audience to generate an empathic wave was ingenious. I'll grant him that. So,
Say the magic feeding on the emotions of the people, totally.
yeah, opportunistic. Why do you need cult followers when they come to the theater every Friday night regardless?
And pay you for it.
You know? And we got a whole bunch of actors who are working for pennies who are just willing to sacrifice themselves.
It's got an unbelievable air to it.
Actors getting paid nothing and sacrificing themselves?
Yes.
Yeah, none of us would know anything
And
about that.
I worked
Theaters
in
being
theater. Yeah.
Throw on a haunted theater and you've got the makings of the most attractive attraction.
Fact.
Cabal is summoned again by Maleficarus to the prop room and is threatened by him this time. He tries to leave and then is bludgeoned by an unseen force. Tries to run for the stairs, but is grabbed by the legs and then dragged back.
That's a bit of a fight.
Yeah.
Totally. I like the "you will die" and his response. We all do, Maleficarus. Like, it's just so cheeky and irreverent. It's like, you know, who responds like that? Some dude steps up to you in a bar and says, you know, you're going to die. And you go, yeah, okay, we all do. Including you. What's the issue? Right? Matter of fact, this is simple analysis.
He does get to see that the trap is being counterweighted by the spirit. So more sandbags are being placed on the other side of the trap.
Yeah, right, which will completely ruin the specifications of this design, right? It's not going to work and it will fuck up the trajectory and therefore his skull.
Yes. He will be launched quite quickly.
Yes. And he has this moment of like, dude, I wasn't here to fight you. Let's not do this, bitch. Like,
Totally.
this is not why I came to stop.
Yeah, I like how it also sort of moves out of the first person at a certain point as well. So like you're taken back to the fact that it's a story.
There's that shift.
With Parkins, there's a shift there, right? And so he says he was picked up and tossed like a kite in the air. So you see the strength of the foe, first of all. And then he describes it as, can you imagine a sandbag walking, Parkin? So once again, we get that descriptive sort of statement of like, I see a sandbag walking in my head the minute he talks about it. But we go back to that beginning of the story within a story, right?
Well, it reminds me of like The Princess Bride and other things like that, where it's like right when you hit the crux, you're back to Grandpa and the little boy in bed. It's like, you're paying attention, right? Like,
exactly.
This shit's getting real, right? You get that? Like,
totally. And it's such a nice break during sort of the climax of a story to get that sort of like, you can't, I mean, it's same like when you watch, say, a Marvel movie or whatever. It's like the action becomes so intense.
Yep.
You almost need that cheeky one-liner to just kind of go, oh, okay, we
Take
can
a
all
moment to
relax
breathe,
for a
yeah.
second.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that sort of playing with the emotions within the story climax is,
Yep.
yeah, very, very cool.
And I think even outside of the audience and reader, it's just a little bit too for Cabal to be like, Parkins, breathe. We're good. I'm here right in front of you.
I'm still here. The ending of the story. Spoiler alert, I lived.
Again,
Totally.
layer upon layer.
And here's where we also get that sort of reiteration of what I was saying earlier in the first, our previous podcast, which is I am a necromancer. At that point in my life, I was a necrologist. The difference is largely technical to the layman, and I won't bore you with definitions. At that point when I read that, I'm like, no, bore me. I'm really curious. Like, what is the difference? And yeah.
Yeah, I'm not big enough on etymology to be able to pick out the differences on my own.
Right.
But I think it does give a little bit of that again, passive versus active participation, you know. At this point in his career, he was much more doing the theory more than the application.
Right.
As my kind of understanding of this, you know?
Totally. Yeah, no, I would agree with you on that one.
It's a development.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. He's still very much the student, not the teacher yet.
But at the same time, he shows his ingenuity when he kicks Pensie's torch or flashlight to block the trap's mechanism. At this point, I put he's the MacGyver of the occult world. Like, even as a student, he still, you know, is grabbing whatever resources he has at hand in order to get himself out of the problem.
And yeah, and as snarky as you want to be, we all die someday.
Absolutely.
Clearly, he doesn't want to die right now.
Exactly. And so I would almost challenge that, you know, sort of statement made earlier about how he's got a very limited worldview. It's like he might have a limited worldview, but he's constantly thinking outside the box. Right? It's like there's, okay, what else can I use? You
Fair
know,
enough,
like
yeah.
the demon is focused on one thing and one thing only. And it goes into how the maw of Clothic is sort of that's the be all and the end all for Maleficarus. So he's going to use that approach. And it's Cabal who uses that against him. It's almost like a jujitsu where he's like, no, you know what? I'm going to take all your energy towards this one particular approach and I'm going to spin it around so it backfires on you. And in order to do that, I'm going to use the tools that are at my disposal that are completely things you didn't even notice or think I had, right?
I think that's fair. I do kind of see him as very rigid in his ways of being like, no, this is how I do my things. It has to all be in its order and everything has a place and it must be done like this. But as we've seen in both short stories now, right when it hits the crux of things, he does happen to, you know, produce a rabbit out of a hat and be like, no, wait, here's this outside of the box thing and da-da-ding, da-da-ding. So, yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, he did do that quick thinking on his toes, on his back.
Right.
Kicks the mechanism and...
Kicks the torch into the mechanism.
Kicks the torch into the mechanism and...
Stops
it, yeah. I mean...
Yeah.
Kablooey. It's very fine machinery. And when not properly set up, it does not work.
Right. And then we get a whole lot of battle action scene going on.
Right. Maleficarus makes his entrance because he realizes that just the spiritual actions of tossing him around is not quite working. So he makes his way from the props room to the under the stage. And I like this makes his way towards Cabal, his hissing voice as he heaved in air in and out of lungs as dry as coral on a museum shelf. You were warned.
Nice. Good effort. That's good, yeah.
And then we get the irony. I think you pointed this quote out already, but I'll bring it up again. The irony of it was that I had no intention of halting his experiment. I just wanted to understand what he'd been up to, observe the progress, and then leave it to him, perhaps with the occasional follow-up visit. His exertions and my broken shoulder blade were all the result of a misunderstanding, and Maleficarus jumping to the conclusions that I'd wanted to stop him. Silly man.
I put a big heart this because again we get into the intentions, right? Is he the hero? Is he the anti-hero? Is he a flawed human with a different moral compass? Like, he's not the Superman, and he's not the Magneto either, right?
Well, and he had this moment earlier to come clean, and he was like, well, I don't take threats. Well, I don't take warnings. You didn't even introduce yourself, so I'm not going to introduce myself. But it's like, damn, dude, like, you could have said back then, be like, no, I'm just observing, like, continue. Like, I mean, professional courtesy, like, continue. Like, like, he had said none of that. He was just like, yeah.
Well, I don't think Maleficarus gave him much of an option either.
I was going to say, at what point did he actually have a chance, or in terms of, like, being able to...
Totally disagree. The very first meeting, he could have said anything. He let himself out of that prop room. He said nothing of the sort. It was like, Cabal, go away. All right, bye. Like, see you tomorrow. Like, he totally could have been like, whoa. I just want to know how you're doing it. I mean, quite frankly, he didn't even have to go around and, like, look for this ring. He could have just instantly been like, hello, ghost. How you doing this shit? That's cool. And he didn't. He was like, no, I'm going to figure this shit out myself.
No, he decided to be sassy instead.
Exactly. I'm just saying,
but rudeness is met with rudeness. Like, you tell me to leave, and I'm going to say, well, what for?
Which is totally fair. But he's blaming his broken shoulder on a misunderstanding that he could have easily have abided earlier. He is not the only one.
So you figure there should have been a point at which, Johannes went, oh, excuse me, forgive. No, I...
Quite frankly, yeah. If you
I'm just here to learn.
If you literally were going to come in and look at this haunted house and you don't mean to put a stop to it, and you just start poking your nose everywhere and getting in the way, basically, and you're, copying down his runes and taking apart his mechanisms and not listening to his threats, that does seem to be like antagonistic of the plans. It's not like, oh, I'm just taking measurements and making sure it's all up to code. Continue. Like,
he did say it was a character flaw of his, though.
Well, it is. I agree.
So, do you think that there's a different intent? Like, what do you think his intent in being here is?
I think part of it. I think this was always his intent. I think that he's just,
to learn or to take on the demon.
To learn. I believe his intent was to learn. I don't think that he wanted to stop it. I just think that his way of going about it was flawed, clearly, because like, you didn't have to be a fight. You didn't have to be hurt. Right. I think, if you'd come into this, it was just a misunderstanding. Well, you didn't explain yourself for shit. And you absolutely had the opportunity to do it.
But when do we ever see Cabal really explaining himself on anything?
I get it, but this is why you're being thrown into walls and potato sacks, etc.
So as I said, flawed human with a different moral compass.
There you go. Potentially stupid moral compass. I do everything in my day to not end up with a broken shoulder. My whole day revolves around me not going home with a broken bone.
Well, and I generally try to avoid demons, at least going to the grocery store.
Well, but I understand when you have a necromancer job that might not be as easy. Right. But if you have the opportunity to at least go home not battered and bloodied and bruised, I would take that route.
Well, it sounds like it's an everyday occurrence for Mr. Cabal, right?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what Elizabethan medicine prices were, but I hope that he's got insurance. I don't know. Maybe being a necromancer makes him heal his scrapes and cuts real easily. He's not fully at the reanimating bodies, but he can solve his broken wrist in a week. Maybe that'd be great.
I kind of hope he doesn't have life insurance, because then the skirting board people might have an even more impetus for offing him.
Also, does life insurance?
Yes, the garden folk will probably
the garden folk learned
offense
about your disability benefits. Uh-oh.
Does life insurance kind of go against his whole thing? If you can't be a necromancer if you've got life insurance,
right.
I'm sorry, we can't pay you multiple times. It's just not happening.
If you reanimate, this policy is null and void.
Oh, it's like that inmate who died in prison and then came back alive, and he's like, so I served my life sentence, let me out.
That happened?
He died in prison and then they brought him back or whatever like that, right?
Resuscitation or what?
Resuscitation, yeah. And he's like, and then he went to court and argued that he served his life sentence. They didn't grant it, but he argued it.
That's brilliant.
Right?
I want to know more about that. That's crazy.
Right?
I dig it. Wow. So we see that the spirit retreats to the physical body and resumes his attack on Cabal.
Mm-hmm. Which, to have been keeping your dead body laying there for 20 years to be good enough to stand up and... Yeah, right? And the fact that this thing hasn't decayed, that's some more maw magic at work.
Oh, it did say that it decayed.
Okay, but 20 years of decay. I'm thinking like that's dust at this point.
Well, it sort of alluded to the idea that the maw and the sacrifices that have been made thus far were sort of generating that or regenerating
Dorian Gray
that.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so the description of the damaged physical Maleficarus body, I liked how it said, perhaps he wanted to look like a scarecrow. People are strange after all. So, like, we get the impression that, yeah, there's definitely some pretty significant damage to the body, but held
I don't
together.
think it's 20 years worth. But yes,
Well,
I think, this maw is helping.
The description of him was just gross. And
Yeah, I didn't want to get too deep into that on this cast.
no.
Skim through.
Perfect tale for a Christmas Eve.
Either, yes.
I can almost imagine him though, like on Christmas Eve. At this point, they're at Cognac, right? They're sitting around the fire, and he's just like really leaning into it for this cop. Like, I will make you squirm.
I can see that.
You want a story? I'll tell you a story, little man. Yeah. And I think also it goes into, like, this is what I was saying earlier when he talks about the idée fixe. So Maleficarus is shown as unoriginal. He's focused only on one goal, idea, method or approach. Where I was saying Cabal kind of uses that to his advantage. And I thought that was, yeah.
Very, very ingenuity.
Yeah. MacGyver of the occult world. That's what I'm saying. And that's why I love this guy. And then also you see sort of his scientific mind going on with like the calculus explanation for the torture on Maleficarus' soul. Like that reminded me a little bit of the Doctor Who principle, like bigger on the inside. When it comes to you pointed this out, Tanzan, you can draw your own conclusions as to what it feels like to be devoured an infinite number of times in perhaps a quarter of a second.
A horrible,
devoured his spirit,
horrible end.
And then, as per the deal, gave most of it back. And then took it again and gave most of it back. And again.
The energy,
and again.
Yeah.
And again.
I have it in my notes that this is a funny way to pay off a deal.
What do you
this
mean?
is essentially, Cabal paying off the maw on behalf of
So infinite sacrifices.
An infinite sacrifice. And
That's brilliant.
It gives me, wry irony to think about what the first book is all about. When it comes to Faustian deals and this payoff of a debt now, and then, I don't want to give spoilers until we get there,
foreshadowing.
But this whole book has very much like,
it's a setup.
It's totally a setup, but it's just, I find it very ironic some of the, choices that Cabal makes here in comparison to what is about to come. I'm not sure how much further the first book is set after this short story. Seeing as how this short story is set even farther back than when he's telling, the cop about when it happened,
He's not even a necromancer yet. Yeah.
Right? So I just a little bit like, I'm not sure how many years back we're going, and I'm not sure how many more years we've got to go until the first book, but it just gives me a little pause of just like, funny how people grow and don't grow.
That's a good point.
I love the ending for Maleficarus. How he was shot through the star trap and showered over the entire stage, and the first 3 rows of the audience in a hail of desiccated body parts. The parents were not impressed.
I'm not impressed.
I thought that was hilarious.
Horrible. Just disgusting.
It reminded me of the Evil Dead musical.
Right. Well, just the parents weren't impressed. Not the audience was unimpressed. It's like just the ones with the little kids, like
because the kids were like, "Do it again!"
I was gonna say, thank God they don't have like DNA testing back then. Like, what was that? Prop flesh. You're fine. Wash it off.
Totally. Never mind the viscera,
it's
Johnny.
A pig leg.
Never mind the viscera, little one.
Yeah, pig legs. Ugh.
So yeah. Then he gets into, I don't get many opportunities to discuss my work. It pulls it right back to the time with Parkins.
Mm-hmm. Cabal and Parkin they've finished drinking. Parkins starts to take his leave.
It hones in this loneliness for Cabal too.
Sorry?
It hones in this loneliness for Cabal too. That he does not have many people to talk to. And this little bit of bribery and making him, feel bad and making him stay for Christmas,
like a guilt almost?
Guilt, there it is.
Yeah.
Guilt trip and bribery, in order to get, a minute to provoke human contact. Like you said, he doesn't have much social skills. He's been a necromancer, let's say, the first short story is 26. We know at that point he's already been working for a few years. So let's say, what was it? He was 18 when he first started thinking about his lifetime. So he was probably in and around 18 to 20 when he took this necromancer sort of idea and has potentially been alone since then, potentially longer.
So we figure late 20s.
We're looking like we're growing on a decade of loneliness, at a minimum.
So do you think it is low? This is actually a really good question. That I was thinking about it because it ends with Parkins walking home, and it says a home of warmth and family. Like, this is such, not only does it fall with the whole Christmas theme and family and blah, blah, blah as a stark contrast to Cabal's life. But my question is that a bad thing? Is he lonely or does he prefer his solitude? Right?
I think it's 50-50, right? You've got this whole, it's hard work, but someone's got to do it. But also, some days it just sucks.
I wonder if he's grown accustomed to it.
Yeah, and again, he's the one who's got the garden of Fey folk. You're purposely putting yourself in the middle of nowhere on the edge of town with all of these things that nobody wants to put themselves nearby. And on the other hand,
want to outright kill you, like the skirting board,
et cetera, et cetera. So it's on the one hand, you are building up these defenses, but I think on the other hand, he's also just lonely in and of itself. There's only so much. He is a human being, as much as even I hate visitors and I don't want people to come to my house ever. I still, I go to work every day. I deal with customers. I deal with coworkers. I see you guys for the podcast. I'm still getting human contact. This guy's dead body after failed dead body.
And a couple demons thrown in for good
measure.
And then,
a couple of demons thrown in. I think there's a certain extent where human contact, other than when you're placing your Napoleon order every other week, how often is he running into people and getting that kind of connection, that most of us, get every time we go to the coffee store or what? Coffee store.
Coffee shop.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. I can see that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that he's, prefers to be alone, but I think to a certain extent, it becomes a lot.
And I think it's that. That is a great, what we were saying earlier in podcasts about how, Jonathan L. Howard really wants a short story to be that little nugget of perfection from start to finish. And I think that essentially is part of the theme. It's is Christmas the time for this season of love and warmth and joy and all that? And here we've got this outsider, this loner who never quite knows how to connect with anything that isn't creepy, scary, horrible. And
the juxtaposition is in and of itself a good hook.
Yeah,
so.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is Exeunt Demon King.
Yeah, I don't know if I actually also wrote from the afterword. This, in addition to The Blustery Day, was first published in H.P. Lovecraft's Magazine of Horror.
There it is.
And actually, Jonathan L. Howard says, if you're reading this because you enjoy the novels, the path to them really started with this story. So we are, I guess, at sort of the starting point, really. Mm-hmm. Despite the first short story, this is essentially the
kickoff,
the seed to the novels to come.
The inspiration. This concludes our episode 2.2, The Maw Awaits. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and necromancers.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the undead alive and to see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling, and remember, reanimation is trending.